Alright, what's up? I don't know how this is gonna go because I am super sick. But actually feeling a lot better today. I don't know where this is supposed to be. I guess right there or something. Or I gotta move this forward. Anyways, I've had a cold all week. Does this stool... Hold on. And now I should do this before I start streaming. But, I've had a cold, a flu all week, whatever it is. And here I am. I've just been trying to sleep when I can. I haven't really slept barely at all week. Just had bad body aches and everything that goes with the cold and the flu. And still worked way too many hours through it all. And yeah. Whatever. So, so what I was doing is I would get up in the morning and I would just take like a bunch of ibuprofen. Well, I would take some ibuprofen and some caffeine pills or one caffeine pill. And then it would kind of like mellow out my fever. I think I've had a fever all week. And so in the evening, I'm like, because it like wears off or whatever, eventually I get to the point where I just like can't function because I'm just like too cold or too hot. What is that clicking noise? That was weird. Like it sounded like this click. Anyway, so what I did yesterday is I started feeling like that, and then I just took some more ibuprofen and some more caffeine, and then I started feeling a little better, like 7 o'clock at night, and I'm like, have I just been like feeling like crap all week? But I just take all these pills, and it like, mutes the pain or whatever, mutes the symptoms. I also like every time I clear my throat or whatever, my left ear is just in this massive amount of pain. It is not good. So I was going to try to do this anyways. We already didn't do a stream this week for band. I don't know. Tyler had something going on. He said it was a scheduling issue or something, and then I was just sick, so I was like, let's just not. I mean, I told him I would do it anyways if they wanted to, but I mean, if Jared wanted to anyways, but he didn't want to either probably, so we just didn't do it. But I did end up selling a bunch of machines. I did a bunch of appliance work this week. The big job, I had like one little job the other day where this lady's like dryer stopped working, and she's like, well, it kind of turns on but the drum doesn't spin, so she thought her belt fell off. And I'm like, all right, well, that normally doesn't happen, and I'm thinking that it's not turning on, and not spinning and not heating. When I get over there, the motor is running. When you turn it on, the heater's running, but the drum doesn't spin. I'm like, interesting. This hasn't happened to me in a while. Normally, a lot of them have a switch on the idler pulley, but, these ones don't, obviously. So, the switch turns the thing off if the belt falls off, basically. So I'm like, all right, well, take it apart. And like her pulley on her motor was broken. So I had another one. So I went ahead and I had to actually go get it. Well, my wife was bringing me the kids, so she brought it to me. And then I went back over there and put it on. But that worked out pretty well. So that wasn't a big deal. I think that was I had another call where I went to a dude's house and like he had like rebuilt this dryer, put a new heat element, all the new sensors because it stopped heating. And I went over there and I'm like, well, all your heat elements good, everything's good. I'm like, usually when all the work he had done was good, like there was no issue with it. I'm like, usually when this happens, the circuit board's bad. So I was going to charge him for a diagnosis. That was the plan. The plan wasn't necessarily to fix it, wasn't necessarily to get him a new dryer. The plan going in was because he just, I could tell he just really wanted to know what he did wrong, right? Because he did all this work. He bought the parts, he put them on, and then it didn't fix it. And I'm like, well, let me see what's going on. So, but basically I start testing the circuit board and I'm like, the circuit board's testing good, like it's all working right. But I get into testing the relay. The relay's looking good. And I'm like, well, this is actually good news because this means you have a wiring harness problem. And I'm like, maybe that won't be as hard to fix. We might be able to just, slap some butt connectors on it and we'll be back up and running. Now, this is where it went weird because I found the problem, and the problem was like a melted motor plug. So, I mean, I've never seen that before. I told him that. I'm like, I've never seen this before, but, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to people. I'm like, I have one of these at home, which I only live like 10 minutes away. I'm like, do you want me to go get it? And I'll put it on, and, I just basically quoted him the price for the repair. He didn't want to do that. I'm like, okay. So he was just going to get a dryer from his mom. I'm like, all right. So he paid me for the diagnosis. And then I was like, and I told him, I'm like, well, I'll come buy this machine from you. Don't throw it away. And, and he's like, well, okay, but I don't want to do it today. He's like, I'll let you know. And I'm like, okay. And then he never called me again. So I don't know. He probably threw it away. But what I did when I put it all back together is I didn't hook anything back up. I just left it all unhooked because the wires had like corroded and burned off the plug, and they just fell off. So like 2 wires fell off, and one of them was the heater wire because it goes through the motor. So I guess we got 3 skill points to use here. So it looks like I have this equipped over here. I don't know if I need to upgrade it with these. Vex gains increased minion damage. Okay, I might as well do one of those. What is this one? Bonus damage. Yeah, we need to do that one for sure. Do many damages. Let's do all the damages. Anyways, that wasn't even, the most interesting job either. Like, that one was all right because, it was like kind of showing the dude what I do. And, I mean, he's not going to call me again, probably. He's already, like, I don't know, maybe he will. Like, that was just a shitty thing that happened to him. I don't think that that's anything he did. The only thing that he did, what I told him is you got to test. Like, you can't just, like, they call it the parts cannon. You just load the parts cannon, and then you fire, right? Well, all his original heat element and all those pieces were good, seemingly. I mean, I don't know what caused the harness to melt off the motor like that. And what I told him was somebody might have worked on it, and if you don't like get these plugs back on 100% all the way, it's possible it was like hanging off a little, you know what I mean? And then that causes a resistance. Basically, the resistance goes up so high that these wires melt. I've seen it, you know, and it's like this stuff is 240. So then the wire melts, and you know, eventually it just breaks because it's just in there getting hot every time you use your dryer. And so that's what has happened. And you know, and I don't blame him for not wanting to use the machine anymore. But I'm like, well, you know, I'll buy it from you, and I can fix it. It's got new parts in it. I could use those for somebody else's machine. You know, so there's no point in this thing just going to the trash. There's plenty of use here. That's what I told him. You know. Like, I fix those kinds of machines all the time. Those specific ones, I get them all the time. And I fix lots, you know. So anyways, I'm like, well, yeah, whatever. And I mean, I don't know, maybe he hasn't done it yet. But at least I've been like a few days, 4 or 5 days. It'd be a long time to go without laundry, I would think. Oh, damn. Getting the second wind on a badass there, I guess. We're gonna do that today. Anyways, though, so I guess I gotta stop standing in that stuff, and I might stop dying. So, you know, there was that. Now the big job of the week is I messed up. I learned a lesson. I learned my lesson. It took me 3 jobs to learn this lesson. Okay. So the first job was like last week or something like that, where basically I went over there and I sold these people a dryer because their dryer, oh man, this isn't good, because the dryer they had was putting out a clogged vent tube code, basically. You know, I don't know, bad airflow code or whatever you want to call it. Basically, I might have even talked about this job on this stream already, but anyways, I'll just do it again. So they like, you know, they got this dryer and it's like, hey man, there's no airflow. That's literally what the dryer said on the thing. It was like, hey man. Just kidding. But you know, and so I went over there, and instead of doing an airflow check like I should have, I'm like, all right, well, I told the lady, I'm like, you have an airflow problem probably. And she's like, I'm like, why don't you just let me try to fix it? And you know, so this is kind of half her fault too. But she's like, no, I just want a new dryer. And I'm like, well, you know, if your vent tube's halfway clogged, I've had this happen with these new dryers where the vent tube's halfway clogged, and an old dryer will work. You know, it won't be the best thing ever, right? But what is this? What did I just do? You know, it won't be the best thing ever, but it'll work, right? I said, but we really need to address your vent tube. And she's like, well, it's not clogged. That's what she said. She's like, it's not clogged. I can see in there. I'm like, but you can't see where it's clogged. Like, the dryer's doing that for a reason. You know, either it's a bad circuit board, which is unlikely, right? Like a bad sensor, which is possible, I guess, but also unlikely. I said, or your vent tube's clogged. So anyways, I get down there and I get her old dryer from her, you know, and I sell her the new one, and you know, she starts using it. Well, the next day she texts me and she's like, hey, you know, this thing still takes 2 times of time dry to dry my clothes. I'm like, well, your vent tube's clogged. Probably. Because it worked perfectly here. I don't even know if I'm in the right area. 140 meters that way. Anyways, so I'm like, well, and she's like, and the buzzer's annoying. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, and her laundry room is like 5 feet away from her living room. So she's going to have to listen to this thing buzz while she's watching TV or whatever. And it does, like, this particular one, for whatever reason, it buzzes and it keeps spinning, you know, which is fine. And then it buzzes again, and then it keeps spinning, and then buzzes again, like wrinkle control or whatever, right? And there's no way to turn it off. There's no way to turn the buzzer off, and there's no way to turn the wrinkle control off. There's just very little options on this one. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll bring you another one. I brought her out the old Reliable. You know what I mean? The Whirlpool. They're easy to work on. They run forever. Like, I've got one right now for sale that's from 1984. Same design, basically. They've updated it just a little bit. Like, the heat element in this 1984 one is a harder to install. Although, looking at it, I bet you it doesn't ground out as much as the new ones do. So anyways, I get over there, and I'm like, your vent tube's clogged, though. So she's like, no, it isn't. And we go look at the outside, and she just, like, is able to pull lint out of the outside. You know, just, like, reach in and pull it out. I'm like, yeah, it is. So I stuck my vacuum on it. I get my little brush out, you know. Now, I told her, I'm like, I haven't done this yet, but I need to learn how. I'm like, can I do this here? And she's like, yeah, just charge me whatever. And I'm like, okay. You know, she said that. I wasn't even going to charge her, and I didn't. I'm like, look, I'm learning on your house, okay? Like, I don't know how else to say this, but that's what I'm doing. So since I'm learning, you're not paying. That's the way this is going. In a year from now, when I'm really good at this, then you're going to be paying. That's how this is going to go. Okay, so I sucked it out, and I hooked the vacuum up, and I hear this swoosh, and I open the vacuum, and there's all this lint in it. Okay, so it just worked. The vacuum just worked. I stuck the brush in it, and I brushed it out as best I could. Now, it was really gentle because hers was like a flex tube in the wall. So I didn't want to rip it or tear it or anything. I didn't go all the way through it with the brush. But I could go to the other side of it and see that there was a lot more airflow. So I feel like we could have hooked up her old dryer again, and she would have been good. But they didn't want to do that. They just wanted the one that, had the timer. It didn't have the brain, and I don't blame them. And I told them, too, I'm like, if it were me, I would use this dryer here. I know it's old, the old Reliable, but the design of that Whirlpool, and, like, if there's any dryers, techs that are ever listening to this, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like the one that, it's just the 2 5/16ths, and the whole thing comes apart, basically. There's 2 Phillips and 2 5/16ths, and you're into the drum and motor, and then on the back, that's where you have all your heat element and all that stuff. It's like, as far as working on it goes, it's so easy to work on, and it's just like, it's nice. I mean, so, what is that? Charged Mangler. Anyways, so I should have learned my lesson from that. What is this? Why does this say use? Use. I can't even, pick it up. Is this, like, a glitch, or? Oh, that's for my shield. That's why. Yeah, I don't know when that job was. Maybe I should give myself a little credit here. Because then, okay, so I have the timeline wrong in my head. So I did learn my lesson there, apparently, because what happened was, that's when I learned my lesson, because what has happened is a customer that I did a job for before that job, okay, like a month ago, texts me, and they're like, hey man, this dryer did the same thing again. And what had happened there, this is one of my first in-house customers, okay. I went over there, and I diagnosed the heat element was good. However, it was grounding out on the case, okay? And the thermal fuse was blown. Now, I've known forever that thermal fuses blow when vent tubes gets clogged, okay? But I've also known and seen that the same thing happens when somebody installs a heat element and it touches the case, okay? I've seen this enough times to know. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got a heat element touching the case. and I've got a blown thermal fuse. Replace the heat element, replace the thermal fuse, and they should be good, right? Well, I didn't do an airflow test. Okay. So now I've got my work on it where I after every heat element I do a continuity test to the case to make sure that it's not grounded out. And, you know, and so I do all that, and I'm like, well, I know I tested that machine, and it wasn't grounded out. Well, guess what? It was grounded out. The heat element was, sure enough, grounded out to the case. Now, it was grounded out in a different spot than I've ever seen before, but I know I put that heat element in. You know, I know that they didn't mess with it, and I know that it's grounded out. So I'm like, all right, well, I got another heat element. I put it in, you know, and I'm telling the dude, I'm like, you know, I don't know why this happened. I'm like, maybe I need to stop buying these heat elements. So I told him, I'm like, I'm thankful that you guys called me back. And I'm telling him, I'm like, you guys need to call me back. I'm like, I need your help with this because I need to know the long-term effects of what I'm doing, because that's what I don't have. Because in the 3 years I've been doing this, since I've just been selling machines and then I never hear from that customer ever again, or rarely do I, you know, because they just got their machine and for all I know, it's just worked. But like, have I sold machines and then they break a month later and then the people don't call me back, you know, don't be like, hey, this thing broke. Like a couple people have done that over the years and I've gone and fixed their machines or figured it out, right? So anyways, so I'm telling him that and I'm like, well, you know, let's do an airflow check. And then I told his wife too when she texted me and she's like, this thing did it again. And I'm like, well, maybe you probably have a vent issue. She's like, can I just buy another dryer? And I'm like, well, the problem with that is if I sell you another dryer and you have a vent issue, it's just going to do the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, your dryer is totally fixable because, well, once again, because she has the old Reliable. They already have the one. It's like my favorite type of dryer. They're easy to work on. Parts are cheap. They never die. You know, even when they break, they're easy and cheap to fix. So that's what I was telling the dude too. I'm like, this is, you know, I think this is the best thing. Like if I could just get those dryers and then sell them to everybody, you know, obviously some people are going to like the different features that one might not have, but I think it pretty much does. But some people might like the, you know, they like the new shiny circuit boards and all this crap. It's like, yeah, the beeps and all the songs. I mean, and the way it looks, and gotta feed that ego. You know what I'm saying? I'm not any different. You know, all my machines have circuit boards. I'm like sitting here talking about these dryers, but the thing about my machines, my washer and dryer, is I got the XL. So they're the biggest drum size. So like when like my wife needs to wash our comforter, because we like have a king size bed. When she needs to wash our comforter, it like probably dries better in that big drum. You know what I mean? So anyways, so I start doing airflow test and it fails. Like it's blowing air out of the vent tube. This thing is so clogged. Like there's no air leaving that house. There's no air going through that vent tube at all. And I told the dude, I'm like, this thing is badly clogged. And he's like, all right, well, you know, and I had already talked to him about it, and his landlord is not very good at, what was I doing? I was going to go around there and get those crutch. His landlord is not very good at fixing things. Like, it's really hard for them to get the landlord to fix stuff, he said. And so I'm like, well, look, I have the tools, and I need the practice. Told him, I'm like, let me clean this thing out. And he's like, yeah, all right. Well, you know, we have some time. Let's do it. And so I start cleaning it out. And, like, I am pulling pounds of lint out of this thing. Pounds. It's like, it's not... This thing is like just stuffed full for feet. I mean, I don't even know how this happens. I mean, and I didn't even, I worked on it for probably 2.5, 3 hours, and it's still not unclogged. And I mean, I pulled gobs and gobs of lint out of this thing. It's crazy. So basically, all right, well, I got the 10 out of 10 crouch kills there, even though I'm not even on the mission. So basically, I'm going back over there today. It got to the point to where his wife had to get ready for work, and the problem is that they're in this apartment and they have dogs, and like the dogs do not like the vacuum, and I'm using the vacuum. One of the dogs doesn't really. He said he's all right, or she's all right, or I don't remember. Basically, one of the dogs doesn't really do well with strangers, so. So the way that we have to do this is the wife, she'll like go in the other room with the dogs and hang out with them while I work on their dryer. And then the husband hangs out with me or whatever. So, so I try to work fast when I'm there to like not stress out the dogs as much and stuff. But I just had to do this. Like, and I'm not really making any money here. And in fact, I'm losing money working with these people. But basically, that I was telling my wife last night, there's some jobs you make a lot of money on and you do very little work, and your experience is what pays. And then there's some jobs that you do a lot of work and you're gaining experience, but you don't really get paid, and I'm not really charging them what I should because I don't have the experience. I'm gaining more than they are. You know what I mean? Oh, look, there's a vault symbol over there. Well, I'm going to go dump my inventory here because I know it's getting full. So anyways, I'm going back over there today with more tools. Now, the other thing is that I forgot my bag in the dryer. Like my carry bag that I take into houses. It has my drill in it. It has my voltmeter. I have a pill bottle of screws. Just like all the extra stuff that I need, and so I was like, I didn't have very many tools. Like to take this machine apart, I had to use like a nut driver type thing that I had in my car. Luckily, I had extra tools in my car, but I didn't have any extra voltmeters. So today I should go to Harbor Freight and buy another set of tools. Now I probably won't get another driver because the driver I use is a DeWalt. I'm not going to get that at Harbor Freight. Like a screwdriver, a screwdriver, a power screwdriver thing, whatever you want to call it. Impact driver, I guess. I could go get one of those though. And then I should have 2 sets of everything in there in case I leave one at a job. Then the main thing is the voltmeter because not having your voltmeter, it was like very, like, you feel blind because I couldn't check sensors, right? So I get there and I'm like, well, obviously the thermal fuses are blown because, I didn't even tell you about that. So I get there and I pull the heat element off. I'm like, well, it's spinning. No, at first it's not doing anything. You push the button, nothing happens, right? So I'm like, all right, well, the thermal fuse is probably blown. Your vent tube's probably clogged. You probably overheated it. And, I didn't check your vent tube last time, so this is all warranty work because it's my fault for not checking everything. I knew better and I didn't do it, right? So I didn't charge them anything. I'm not going to charge them anything. I'm going to charge them a little bit of money for labor on cleaning out their vent tube, which would have happened if I would have known it last time. But I put all the new parts on this machine, and they're all coming out of, basically I'm covering that and calling it a warranty. So, I pull the heat element off, and it's like it's half of it is just black and melted, and the ceramics are broken, and it's just like, because it had grounded out and it looked like it overheated, right? Because it's just been on, And I'm like, all right, well, yeah. So I'm like, I don't know how this happened. I'm like, I put it on there like less than a month ago or a month ago or something. And yeah, here we are again. So, anyways. So yeah, so I forgot my tools. That was what I was saying. I forgot my tools, so I'm going to be going back over there today with it. So I didn't have my drill. So I have this little like brush that, it extends, like you can add length to it. But the other thing I need to look for is there's like this little like blockage tool that you can hook onto it that I didn't know I had. I was looking at the Amazon listing later because I was going to buy another tool. And I'm like, well, wait, this tool is supposed to come with this little like extra like block remover tool thing. So I'm going to take that down there today. What I'm going to do is in a little bit when I get off this stream, I need to go clean my car out because all these tools are everywhere in there. Because I did so many jobs, I just kept throwing tools back in the car and throwing bad parts back in the car. And so I need to throw all the bad parts away. They're just in there, and I need to organize my car again so that everything fits right. And then, because it was just like job after job after job, and I'm not like organized yet with this stuff. Like it is working, but I need to come up with like standards of practices on how to do all this stuff because I just don't have it yet. But anyways, so that's what I need to do, and then I need to come up with some sort of bag or bucket or something for this vent cleaning kit because it came in a box and the box is destroyed. It's riding around in the back of my car or whatever. But so all the little pieces are just on the floor under tools and crap. Well, in there somewhere, I'm sure, is this little piece that's a clog remover that I need. And then the other thing is part of the back part of this brush hooks to a drill. Well, I didn't bring my drill. So I couldn't like drill it through the thing, so I'm just doing it by hand, and it's the worst clog I've ever seen, and I'm using hand tools. So yeah, but this thing is basically just like a snake, but it's not. Similar concept to it, like a plumbing snake. I think he wants to buy a dryer too, or a washer. I mean, so, which I don't know how that's gonna work because they're yeah, their parking situation is interesting, but I think it's gonna be all right. I'll figure it out. Okay, so what do we got for SMG's 208? Alright, so it looks like we're good on all the guns here. So now, what are we gonna do? I don't know what if we need to change the class mod or... Cause like now I have a class mod, so here's what I have, so... Oh, so I did like a health one, adds... So what about the enhancement? Alright, so I think I'm good to sell all that. Come on. Why? Like, hello? I'm pushing square and nothing's happening.
Wait! Why am I buying your site? Come see me again!
Alright, let's see what's in here. Yeah, and then the other thing is on the YouTube channel is that's going good, I think. So I'm up to 110 subs. So once again, that's with no trying. Haven't tried at all. At what point do I want to upgrade my shield? That shield is like, I think, the highest I've seen in a while. I might hold on to it.
Just scratch the serial number off and she'll be right as rain. If you got any more like this, you know where to find. Oh, the smell of this thing. Where were you keeping it? Be off with you then. I don't mind.
Alright, so yeah, so the YouTube channel. So last Sunday, oh look, there's more bounties here.
Hey, wanna do a murder? Look, I lovingly pestered a sleeping animal, and then it woke up all mad. Wanna know why I have a desperate and sudden need for a variety of animal parts? Yeah, trust me, you really don't.
So last Sunday, I just edited videos all day. It's pretty much, I think I'm a whole week ahead. So tomorrow I'm going to edit a lot more too. And maybe in a minute here, when I get done with this, I'll probably edit 2 or 3 more. Now this week, I don't think I shot any videos because I've been doing so much work outside of the shop that I haven't really been shooting any videos. And so I don't know what, oh no, that's not true. I just shot 2 videos this week, I guess. Fixed 2 machines, but really I've done a lot more sales and fixing other people's machines and spending time at other people's houses and stuff like that. So okay, so am I still on that same mission, or did I kill Little Stinker? Looks like I'm doing a different mission now. So anyways, that's what's been going on. I mean, so the YouTube channel is booming. I have never, I know it's only 110, right? But I'm only like 3 months in. All right. So, the way that I see it, I haven't asked anybody to follow my channel. You know what I mean? To subscribe. The only people I've asked to subscribe are strangers who are watching the shorts. Like, I'll just tell you how I'm doing it. Okay, I fix a machine and I edit 2 videos out of it. a short video and a long video. And the short video is linked to the long video. That's just how YouTube does it. You can just automatically do that, right? But I also have I have words on the short that says full video on my channel. Oh man, crap. Come on, dude. Where are you at? Don't hide. I was just trying to pick up my stuff, man. It's a cheap shot. So anyways, that's all I do. And I gain like 4 or 5 subs a week. And I think what's gonna happen
Felt some peace there for a moment.
eventually, what should happen. Okay, so where was I? Oh, there's a speaker over there too. I don't know if I should do it or not. Eventually, what should happen is, you know, I'll have a video that will hit it big, or you know, that a lot of people that YouTube
Can you hear the
will put me on the
darkness
radar
calling?
for, or whatever.
Moving into range.
Well, at least it was a badass that got me, I guess. I thought it was just a regular guy. This guy's got a rocket launcher or some shit. Oh no.
Everything from you. Resist their malign influence.
So anyways, I don't know if I should do this speaker. It's kind of a pain.
Rule for him.
So,
East without.
you know, I'm calling that success.
We will never truly
If I just keep growing the way I'm growing, eventually those numbers will go up. You know, because I basically went from 0 3 months ago, just doing a daily upload, and the shorts will get like anywhere from like 300 to 1,000 views. For some reason, some get more, some get less, you know, I don't know, something like that. And then, you know, out of each short, I might get a comment or two and a subscriber or two. It's how it's been going, you know. So I'm like, I don't know if there's an an audience. I think there is. Like, I watch these videos just I gain experience off of other technicians, you know. Like, I watch one guy's video every day, that what he fixes, that he puts up every day. You know, at one point he was watching my videos. That's how I found him, because he subbed to me and started watching my videos, and then I subbed back and started watching his videos. So when he fixes something, I learn how to fix it. And then, you know, I doubt I'm offering him any, like, I'm not teaching him anything, because he's been doing it his whole life, it sounds like, but I'm learning from him. I don't know. You know, the main reason that I'm trying to do it, trace scrap core, find scrap core. What mission am I even doing here? Where's the scrap core at? I don't know. This is the one we were doing. Oh, the scrap core must be over here. So yeah, so I mean, you know, it's like, that's basically what I'm doing though. I'm just, what is this? Vault fragment. Vault fragment down there. It's basically what I'm doing is we just, you know, I never did this propaganda speaker either. I tried to do it, but it just wasn't working. That go log over there. See, there's like, I don't know if I should just like try to do all these like things. Oh, I should do this though. I'm hungry. I don't know, I might stop doing this and go edit videos now. You know, but it's like, I don't ever really get any time to play this game. I should do lots of things differently. I wonder if I should stop working so much. I gotta pay for Christmas. Like, I'm trying to keep my bank account at the same level and pay and buy all this stuff for Christmas. And it just takes a ton of work. So, whatever. But basically, that's what's going on. So, and I think that the YouTube channel's working. I think it'll grow and keep growing and keep growing. And I just need to keep at it and don't quit, because I have the content now. You know, that's the thing, is like before, when I would try to do this stuff, the initial idea was that I would just like film me doing my chores. So the problem with that is that one day you're filming like you fixing a car or whatever, and then the other time you're filming you like building like an RC lawnmower or something, right? But like these things are so far in between that I can't put out constant content. And I can't afford to just buy junk cars and then fix them up. That's what these other YouTubers are doing. You know, is they put money into it and they buy projects and then they do projects, and then I'm assuming they sell the projects, right? But this similar type channels, they buy the project, film the project, sell the project or whatever, or keep the project and continue. Well, if I'm only doing my chores, there's not that much content, not enough, right? So there's that. And so I think I've reached a point to where I'm a lot better at editing. My audio and video is getting a lot better. Maybe not on this, but I mean, even on this, it's better than it was. I don't know if it's good, but you know, whatever. But that doesn't matter. I don't want to be a streamer. I only do this because it's just easy, you know. But I mean, yeah. So it's like, you know, everything is getting better to the point to where I think that I can really, if I just keep going, I'll gain those subs, you know, and the content, right? I'm going to just be rotating through machines. Now, I don't know what will happen if I get to the point to where all I'm doing is house calls. Then I don't know what will happen. But I don't think I'm going to change the business model. I think I'm just going to do both sales and home repairs. And it seems to be working, because some people don't seem to not want me to just go fix their machine, even when I offer it. And I'm like, well, it'll probably be cheaper if I just come in and fix yours, you know, because the way that I do this is if I get a machine and I fix it for $5, it doesn't matter. That machine is not worth what I fixed it for. That machine is worth what it's worth. So if it's worth $200, then I'm selling it for $200. You know what I mean? But if that initial customer would have kept that machine, they would have been paying me labor and that part, which would have been a lot less. You know what I mean? Than the 200 maybe, or maybe it would be more. And so like what I'm trying to offer is that I go in and diagnose, and then we decide, you know, at that point what we want to do. We could fix your machine and it would be cheaper than you buying the one that's on my trailer, or you buy the one that's on my trailer, I swap them out, and then we're good, right? You know, so it's like going to help them depending on which is cheaper. And, you know, I think a lot of times the in-home repair would be cheaper than buying a new machine. And I have the inclination to make it cheaper, because then I don't have to try to get this machine down your weird stairs. You know what I mean? And your weird turning stair. Like, you know, I mean, yesterday's job was really easy. I don't know why more houses can't be designed this way, but the laundry room's in the garage. You know how easy it is? It's like I rolled up, you know, and there's two like dudes sitting there. There's the dude that lives there, and then there's the landlord. The landlord's buying the machine. And he's like, oh, cool, it's just right here in the garage. I'm like, cool, plop it off my trailer, go run it up there, plop it down. By the time I got there, the dude that lives there has already got the other machine unhooked and pushed out of the way, pretty much. We push the new one in, he hooks it up, we run it. It's like so fast, in and out of there, just quick, easy money, you know. And so I wish that they were just all like that. That's like the dream right there. Swap it out really quick. Everybody's happy, you know, and I'm down the road, you know. So even with that one though, I think he might want it back with that one. So I'm gonna fix it and then see what he wants to do. You know, but even that guy, he's cool. He's like, I'll come get it from you. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's not that big a deal for me to drive. You know, that's the thing that people don't get. It's like, I don't sell from my house at all. And so I tell them that, and I'm like, I'll meet you in the parking lot. But here's the thing, right? Is like, I'm like, okay, I'll meet you in the parking lot at 1. But people are like early or late, you know? So they're either going to be there at 12:50 or they're going to be there at 1:10. It doesn't happen very often that people actually get there at 1, which makes zero sense to me in this day and age, because you can pull your phone out and your phone will tell you how long it takes to get anywhere. And so if you have an hour or more notice that you're going to be somewhere, you know, you could Google map it and be like, all right, it's going to take me 25 minutes to get there. You leave 25 minutes early. It's pretty much right most of the time. You know what I mean? And so I don't understand why people are late. I understand why they're early. So, but I don't want to have somebody waiting for me. So I usually show up 5 or 10 minutes early, you know, and then usually they're 5 or 10 minutes late. And so I'm sitting in the parking lot for 20 minutes, right? So from the time I left my house to when I actually see them and give them the dryer, I've got 20 minutes. So what I've been doing lately is, if you're 20 minutes away, delivery's free, because I'm doing the same thing, you know? I mean, I guess it adds 20 more minutes for me to drive back from their house to my house. But anyway, so I told the dude, I'm like, no, I'll just bring it over here. He's like, I can just come get it if you fix this one for me. I'm like, no, I'll just bring it over here. It's no big deal. It's the same. It's basically the same. You know, it's just 20 more minutes is what it is of me driving it over there to switch it out. But think about what it is for him. You know, he's got to get the machine, put it in his truck. He doesn't necessarily have like the dolly and the, you know, strap it down. I mean, if they even strap it down, these people with pickup trucks, man, they'll just throw machines in the back of their truck and go drive them around. I'm like, I sold a set to this dude the other day. He throws it in the back of his truck and he's gone. And I'm like, these are light machines, you know, it's not just going to chill. Like, you should put a strap on it, you know? If you get in an accident, this thing's going to be all over the freeway or whatever. Like, anyways, so, I mean, I would go deliver. That place was easy to get to. It was pretty close to, well, I guess it wasn't that close to the freeway. It was close enough. You know, it's no big deal. It's like 3 lights from the freeway. Easy parking, lots of access. You know, there's another client I had the other day where I had to park on a side street because he lived on a busy road. That one was an interesting job too, because he's texting me and I'm like, I'll meet you in the parking lot. And he's like, well, how will I know if it works? He's like, I buy a lot of appliances on KSL. I have problems. And I don't know what the deal is with this dude. I think it's just luck, because this was also an interesting interaction, because I sell him the machine. Like, I'm like, I'll just bring it to you. I'm like, I'm going to be in your city. I'm like, what city are you in? And he tells me, and I'm like, I'm going to be in your city tomorrow on another job already. I was 4 minutes from him. So it was nothing for me to just drive 4 minutes from my other job to him. But, you know, the way his house was, it was on a busy road. He did have, like, the backyard was kind of converted to, like, a parking lot. So you could kind of just drive in there. But I have a trailer. So I parked on a side street and I just dollied the thing down 3 houses. It's not a big deal. You know, but the funny thing is like, I gave him this whole spiel about how, well, I fix them all the time. Like, this one works, you know, and it did, and it was good. But his luck, okay, and I'll tell you why I think it's his luck and not mine, because I get it in there and I plug it in and it won't turn on, and I'm like, oh, good, you know. I told him too. I'm like, of course, I just told you that I fix them all the time and they're good and they're, you know, it's refurbished, not used. That's what I told him. I don't know if God needs to teach me a lesson or what about being too cocky with this stuff. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And I mean, I wasn't trying to be cocky. I'm just trying to instill confidence in my customers. You know, that these machines that I'm selling are better than used. some amount because they're completely cleaned out. Any lint blockages that are in there are cleaned out. The bearings are cleaned. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to do the best that I can and put out the best machine I can. So anyways, I get over there and of course we plug it in. It doesn't even work at all. And now the problem is that I can't look at the wiring on the old machine because he took the cord off it. Because of course he's just trying to keep the cord, you know. Like, he's not going to give me anything. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever, man. Like, I don't need your cord, because he's giving me the old dryer, and the old dryer is broken garbage, you know. Like, it's going to the scrapyard for sure. But, or most likely, I mean, I doubt I'm going to play with it. But so I'm like, whatever. But the problem now is that this machine doesn't work, and I can't check the wiring to see if it was wired correctly on the old machine. And so I grab my meter, and I start looking around and start metering things, and his wiring, he has a 4-prong outlet hooked up. So we got what I like to call the landlord special here. And he's the landlord, you know? And so, like, I got to be careful with, like, kind of how I talk about this, because, like, I don't know if he installed that plug and he doesn't know what he's doing or what, or if there's some other issue just that he has, you know. It's an old house. So I'm like, well, and he seemed like he was into construction, like, and he seemed super intelligent, you know, like smart enough to know what was going on. And he did, because, like, all I did was meter it. And I was like, do you see what I see? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, was your other dryer wired the same way? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know how it worked. Now, here's my answer for it, is that basically you have 2 grounds and 2 hots. This is one way to think about 220, the way that we do it here. But, you know, this is a complicated subject. I'm going to be simplifying it and changing how we think about it. So if you're going to comment about this, just don't, okay? Like, I know more about this than I'm going to say. I'm holding back because I don't want to bore this thing to death. But there's 2 hots and 2 grounds. Well, one of the grounds wasn't hooked up at all. So it basically had 1 ground and 2 hots, we'll say. That's, you know, and so the problem with that is that one of the grounds, the one ground needed to be hooked up before anything to work. All we had was a body ground. And like, I always do them the same way. I always do the white wire to the machine, because I think that's supposed to be your neutral, right? And then the green wire is ground, the case ground. That's the way that I have been doing it. I think that's the right way. I think that's the way you're supposed to do it. Well, his white wire wasn't hooked to anything in that plug. We're metering it to nothing, you know, so it wasn't neutraling, I guess. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, well, so I take the green wire and I put it where the white wire goes, and I plug the thing back in. The dryer works great, you know. So I'm like, this is also why I prefer to do deliveries whenever possible, because you don't have to text me a half hour later. We don't have to sit here and over text try to figure out whether your house is messed up or whether this dryer is messed up. Now, what's weird is he said that his other dryer would run for like 5 minutes and then it would stop. And he thought that his motor was going bad. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't know. I'm not even sure you needed a dryer. Maybe there was some issue with your wiring. So I said, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, you don't have to buy this one. If you want to figure out your wiring first, and then... But he decided to just buy it anyways. They always do this too. I think every single time this has happened to me, where I've shown up to somebody's house and their wiring has been the issue or a possible cause or half the issue, they still buy the dryer. And I don't know if that's just because they feel the need to pay me or what. I mean, with this dude, like, I wasn't out hardly any time. I was only there for like 10 minutes. And I wasn't out any money because I was down the street already with another job, another client, you know what I mean? So I don't know. You know, I have to like think about how I navigate all these situations every day and learn how to deal with these customers in the right way. And, you know, got to check out everybody's vent tube because I don't think I've done enough of that apparently. And you know, I need a tool to check vent tubes better. Like what I would like to do is have like some sort of metric on a vent tube. You know what I mean? Like, so here's what I want to do is I'm going to invent some sort of tool to check bearings, to be able to load them and check them with a driver, right? And I've already got some ideas for that, and I think I've actually got my design figured out in my head, and so all I need to do now is build it, and it's going to be good. But so that's not a big deal. But then what I also need is some sort of airflow checker, you know, like something that I can hook up to a dryer vent without the dryer, so I can sort of make sure it's not the dryer, right? Because like with the dryer, yeah, you could like, you know, you can kind of tell if the motor's bad or if the fan's bad on the dryer or something. But if the dryer's clogged and you're not going into it, you just want to check their vent tube real quick. You know, I would like to have something that I can hook up to the inside or the outside and just put a vacuum on it or something. Like, I'm sure I could buy some sort of like airflow checker, but I'm thinking like as mechanical as possible. Maybe even something that I can hook up to my drill, you know, like just a fan that I can hook up to something on one side. You know, I mean, I know I could stick the vacuum on it and somehow figure it out. Like, what about like like I could stick a vacuum on one side and have like a fan on the other side. Like if I could build something, a computer fan that just like hooked into the other side, right? And then you just hook it to an Arduino that just like displays voltage, or just hook it to a voltmeter, right? Just like a little like cheap eBay voltmeter or something that you just wire it right to it. So basically all you end up with just is a screen that displays voltage or amps or both. And then your 5-volt meter. And then, or your 5-volt computer fan. So then all you're doing is you just send the air through, either with the dryer, you know, that's probably be the way to do it. And then what I would do is I would just, at home, I would hook it up to a dryer that is good and cleared out with 0 resistance in the line, right? And just write that number down or remember it. You know, so like whatever volts and amps that's creating. So basically I'm just creating a generator. And then when I go to somebody's house, what I could do is I could compare what the resistance is they have on their airflow. And then I could just compare multiple dryers, right, to this. And then we would be able to know. So then what I could do is when I go to a house, I could hook this thing up to their vent, turn the dryer on. You know, it would be nice if it recorded, you know, so like it went to a high point and then stopped. But then I could basically know like your vent tube is 80% clogged. Or there's a 80% restriction because I'm getting 80% volts and amps or watts versus what I would have got with 0 restriction. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the thing to do. Something to build, you know, I could 3D print a little mount for it and, you know, yeah. So I think that's the idea if I can remember it. You know, and it's like with this job that I'm going to today, the thing was so stuffed full, like, you know, but what that tool would do is it would help me to show the customer that their restriction is 80%. You know, or 40% or 50%, or I can give them a number. And that makes a big difference, you know, if you can give them a number, I think, because then I could be like, well, here's how I tested it, and I know that this is the issue. Versus us just looking at it, us putting our hand up to it, you know, like we were doing a lot of this with his, and it's like, well, this isn't telling us anything. You know, there's the paper test, which his dryer really failed at. And like what I did to show him too is I pulled the vent tube off, so it was just blowing into his kitchen, and it passed at that point, obviously, because I had cleaned this dryer out, so it's totally, you know, clean. Like it would almost suck the paper into the vent hole, right? I mean, it would have. If I would have let go, it would go in there. Because I wasn't even using paper. I was using a dryer sheet. But then once we hooked it up to the vent, it just didn't do anything. It blew it backwards the other way, right? Because now the air was like back pressuring out of the thing. So like it's all the heat is just going to stay in there until we get this thing cleared out. So that's going to be today's goal. And I told him he was going to hire somebody. He's going to get the landlord to do it and everything. And I told him, I'm like I just really want to do it, you know, and get it done. And then I'll know that the work I did on your dryer is going to be good, or you know, hopefully, and it won't break again because of this vent tube, you know. But I think those two tools would really help out a lot, because I could just go into a house, turn their dryer on, stick this thing on their exhaust port, you know, and like maybe even somehow hook it up, you know, make it so that it will kind of hang on an existing exhaust port, because they're all kind of the same. They have like the, you know, a thing around them, but I don't know how else I could hook it up. If I could get it to where I would have an attachment that went inside the pipe, that would be pretty good. That would just kind of cone in there or something, you know, because like usually they have like these little flaps, and I am able to just pull those off, and then I could just stick my tool in and then do it. That's probably what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll look for a tool first. I'm sure there's some sort of airflow checker tool or something that I could get, but it's fun to build things. Anyways, I'm going to go eat breakfast, and then I guess I'm going to edit since I'm feeling pretty good, and then go to work, clean things up, fix a bunch of machines today, and I'll come back to Borderlands maybe tonight if I'm feeling good enough. I don't know. The nights are the worst. I'm usually feeling pretty good in the day, but the night is usually just when I just can't do it. But anyways.